Good morning and welcome to APEX 2021 Virtual Exposition. This is day 4. We're here at Fuji American Corporation's Technology Center. My name's Chip King. Welcome. We're here today to talk to you about Fuji's AIMEX-III placement platform. We're going to cover some overview for you. The actual system is an all-in-one placement system designed to be able to handle and address any of those manufacturing needs from high volume, high mix to low volume, high mix, low volume, low mix, variable volume, variable mix productions. So very well suited for any range of manufacturing needs that you might have. The system provides you a very high feeder count and a very small footprint. It does have two-sided operation, so you have feeder capacity for both sides. The multi-feeder unit, the device system, holds up to 65 8mm feeders per cart, so you have a total of 130 per machine. As you can see, it's a very intuitive, icon-driven interface system, touch screen activated, so we have easy access for the operators to access every command or process in the machine that you might need to incorporate. If we take a quick look inside the machine, what we're showing you today is a dual gantry single conveyor configuration. The system is available with dual gantry, dual conveyor, or single gantry, single or dual conveyor, depending on your application requirements. The system does deploy linear motor drive systems, custom built by Fuji for the applications. These systems eliminate maintenance requirements from the drive system, so simplifies that maintenance activity on your process. The interior of the machine on a dual gantry system, as you can see, 2 gantries, 1 placement head per gantry. You have the nozzle station off to the left here for handling all the nozzle application requirements for exchange and or setup and configuration. The center area of the system is a parts camera looking at the component detail and definitions. And then on the far right, if you're configured with a Dynahead system, you have a tool station for all the tooling systems. And we'll cover those aspects with you in just a moment. On the fixed rail of the machine, you'll find a automatic backup support pin stocker mechanism. So this is where we stock and house all the backup support pins that are automatically deployed for your production needs. Very simple to set it up in the program. Your programmer simply looks at the job file, looking through the board so they can see both sides. Clicks where they want the pins to be assorted. Those assignments are now locked into the job file, which is transmitted to the machine. Upon execution, the machine will deploy those pins for you. And one of the unique aspects that Fuji takes when we talk about this particular type of automated aspect, on the pins themselves, we have a fiducial reference at the top of it. We utilize this as a fiducial identification for presence, absence, and or placement positioning. Once we identify the pins are available, we deploy those out to the XY table. They are magnetic, so very easy to deploy and redeploy. Once it's positioned, we take an inspection routine process over the pin to make sure that it's in the correct position. If it should not be, it is corrected. If the operator enters the machine, and this is what separates Fuji's approach from everybody else, when the operator opens the machine and enters to that system, should they have an opportunity where the smock might knock the pin over, when the machine starts back up, the very first thing it does, if there's no board clamped, it goes and verifies that those support pins are where they need to be. If they're not, it will correct that position or guide the operator from the pictorially driven interface to locate the pin, replace it back to the stocker, and they can be put anywhere in the machine on the stocking system. Machine will confirm that you've replaced that and then redeploy it back out to the machine. So it's a built-in quality aspect in the system that double checks and verifies that the pins are correct at all times. Very little bit of a unique approach to that. The feeder systems, very lightweight, hot swappable feeder mechanisms, 1 8mm for both paper and plastic. So there's very simple operation for the operators. They don't have to determine what type of feeder they need. All the control settings here on the handle for paper, plastic, or pitch are very easily accessed by the operator. These can be controlled by the operator and assigned to them as a application requirement for setup, making sure everything is correct, or this can be controlled and managed by the software and the machine automatically verifying these conditions and setting them even if they're incorrectly set manually at the feeder. So you have override control there, giving you that added level of quality and control. Now I mentioned feeders are hot swappable, so there are no moving components on the front side of the feeder. They can be introduced and removed while the machine's in production without risk to damaging the placement heads. So during a setup, if you're running a partial table and you've got your product is only occupying half the device table, you can be setting up and tearing down from a previous job or setting up for the next job while the machine's in production, eliminating that changeover impact. There's also many other software tools we provide to our users to help mitigate those changeover impacts. Due to the mass capacity of feeders that you can apply to this system, you have a great ability to handle a large common type setup, so we can multiply 3 or 4 or 5 different products into one single setup, minimizing and eliminating those changeover hits that you take during your production runs. Instead of having that 15-minute or 20-minute changeover, now it's just a couple minutes just by simply changing the program name. And even that can be automated with the introduction of scanner systems, either internal or external to the machine. This particular system, as I mentioned, is configured with dual gantries. On gantry 1, we have a Dynahead, which is Fuji's unique dynamic head system that has a all-in-one capability. It does deploy a 12-nozzle revolver tool, as you can see here, a 4-nozzle revolving tool. So the high-speed chip shooter, placing at 27,000 CPH, handling component ranges from 01 to 05 or 042 metric, up to 100 or up to 7.5 millimeter square parts, up to 3 millimeter stall. And then we've got the 4-nozzle mid-range high-speed head that's producing at 12,000 CPH and handling all those mid-range components up to that 45 millimeter squared and up, including up to 9 millimeters tall. Then we expand out to flexible tooling. Your single tool nozzles can be custom and or standard vacuum type application tools to handle those type of components that allow for vacuum handling. And for those unique odd form, maybe even pin through hole paste applications, Fuji supports you in that manner with these mechanical gripping tools. So this is a multi-purpose mechanical chuck tool that comes in a kit that the users can actually reconfigure and retool this to deploy for multiple different types of connectors, minimizing your cost and investment, and you have good risk assessment there. One of the other major unique aspects centralized to Fuji's technologies is our dynamic head exchange capability. We're the only company on the marketplace that brings a true modular technology to the marketplace and provides you a toolless interaction to the machine to reconfigure for changing needs and application requirements, but more importantly, to take and remove those maintenance and PM application processes offline, right? We can take this placement head, do a quick swap, take your maintenance offline. As you can see here, this is the H24 head, only a couple of pounds, very simple, lightweight. The operators can simply exchange these tools when a maintenance application requirement comes up. Swap the head out, maintenance can be done offline, production still builds your product and keeps you in profitability range. The other gantry on this particular machine, and this setup, is configured with an H24. So we've got an all-in-one flexible placement head on side 1, coupled with a very high-speed 37,500 CPH placement head on side 2. So you have a full capable range of this placement head on this platform to expand your component handling range down to 03015s up to 5 millimeter squared components up to 2 millimeters tall. So wide variety of different head functions that are available, all at the click of a button to do a quick head exchange. And again, this can adapt you to changing needs in your manufacturing requirement. Maybe it's an odd form application where you have to switch out the placement head to do some very unique, heavy, odd form through-hole parts. The system is set up and configured, supported by Fuji to make sure that you're able to address those production needs as they come. Let's take a look at the feeding device systems. As I mentioned, the multi-feeding units hold up to 65 devices, giving you 130 for the entire machine if you have a multi-feeder unit on both sides. Or if you have tray requirements. Fuji offers you several different types of tray systems available. As you can see here to my right, Fuji offers a tray tower mechanism that affords you a very high part count for your tray components. This system does occupy one side of the machine and still affords you 25 feeder device slots next to it to keep support of those feeder capacity requirements. The tray system is a 2-magazine mechanism, 12 drawers per magazine, 2 part numbers per drawer. So as you can imagine, very high part count, up to 48 unique component part numbers or any combination thereof. And the unique split magazine gives us the ability to have continuous production operation. As one magazine has an exhaust, it will park itself into position for the operator to interact with it and do component replenishment, while the other magazine parks into position and continues to build production for you. So your machine's never down while you're doing these component exhaust replenishment practices. If you don't require an entire tower, we also offer a smaller 10-tray system that does slide right onto your multi-feeder unit. Very simple application, be introduced and removed for production needs as needed. This system holds 10 JDEC standard trays. We do all of our tray picking direct from the trays and on a rejection recovery operation. That rejected component, you have the choice of dropping it into a bin, a reject belt, or what we most recommend to everybody is to replenish that part back to the cavity in the tray where it came out of. That way your operator is handling the exhausted tray on recovered component that is damaged or defective that could be maybe possibly recovered. So we're offering these solutions to you as a standard on all of our platforms to keep the productivity and quality rates high on your production environments. On top of these tray systems, we also offer tray feeders and a couple of other different types of tray solutions available depending on your application and your need. We also offer to the marketplace stick feeder systems. As you can see here on our multi-feeder unit, this particular stick feeder is the vibratory belt-driven stick feeder. We use air-driven belt stick feeder. We use air to push the component down to the belt system. The belt system will channel the components up to the pick location via channel guides. This can hold up to 5 different part numbers or any combination thereof of the varying in size. As you can see, very simply mounts to the device table and locks in position. We also have vibratory systems, single stack systems, and stackable stick feeders that will do an auto replenishment on the fly as they exhaust out. One of the unique aspects of Fuji's technology is our heads, as I mentioned before. We're the only company that offers the ability to do this interchangeability. So one of the things we're going to show you today is how simple that process is. We look at the interface on the particular platform. As I mentioned before, it's icon driven. It's very simple touchscreen interface. As you can see along the top here, we have some icons. The wrench icon would indicate access to manual activities, information. You have a video monitor where we can look at what's going on with the parts cameras while it's running. And we have a picture here that shows an individual at a computer, which would be your editing aspect screen. So you can actually enter and edit right at the machine and correct any kind of issues, whether it be component, placement sequencing, or part data information corrections on the fly, right at the machine at the time of it happens in real time. So if we look at what's in the icons here, we touch the wrench, and it takes us to the interaction menu for cleaning, head positioning, production information, diagnostics. You want to remove or exchange an article. As you can see, it's very simple. The vacuum cleaner is for cleaning. We're going to walk you through a head exchange today. So we're going to go into the exchange. We're going to simply touch the head button, and you'll notice that the start button starts blinking, and a monitor is indicating to press the start button. Very simple interface. Icon driven, can be used anywhere in the world. Learning curve on this, probably about 1 hour to 1 day depending on the person, but very simple and intuitive. You also notice as this screen is engaging with the operator, it is very intuitive in respect to it provides the guidance. And as you'll notice when the icons come up, as you complete a task, those icons will disappear, keeping the operator focused at the task at hand. So right now we're exchanging the head. It's parking all the nozzles and positioning everything so that everything is locked in a secured area. Then it's going to position the head in a manner where the operator or technician can access and do this process. Again, the operator can actually do this as easily as the technician, freeing up those technicians and engineers for more mission critical tasks. As I mentioned, the head has now positioned itself and we have the icons up for exchanging the head process. So the first step is to touch the MFU button and it will release the cart, and then the operator will simply just roll the cart away from the machine. Very simple, lightweight, no stress or strain for accomplishing that task. As we open the hood, you'll notice on the menu that the icon of removing the cart is now disappeared. And the indicator is showing to do a head swap. So that's what we're going to execute next. Now the Dyna head has the most connections of out of all the heads. So we've got one power connection that we will release, one firewire connection that we'll quickly release, power to the head, and then we're going to pop the communication cable loose. And then once the harnesses are free, we're going to lift this side lever to allow the harness mount to lift, and then that lever drops, locking the harness up and out of the way so the operator has clear movement and freedom of the head. From this point, the operator simply grabs the handle of the head, lifts the locking pin, pulls it to the back position, and the head simply lifts right out. So as you can see, very simple head exchange process. Anybody can do it, and once again, no tools required. Same process is available for the nozzle nest. Very simply removed and lightweight. So now your operators are managing your nozzle exchange process or maintenance practices for the automation tools by handling just the nozzle nest and not the nozzles themselves. Greatly improves the quality aspect of what's going on. One other unique thing we want to talk about today with you regarding the placement heads. The Dyna head, the H24 and the V12 all come with a unique quality driving tool which Fuji refers to as Intelligent Part Sensing, or IPS. The IPS system is a camera system that is mounted inside the placement heads that looks across the nozzle tips to identify the condition of the pickup of the component as well as the part height. It's a very unique tool that's very high value driven. The standard placement head operating without IPS active is running about 7.9 DPPM. If you activate and take advantage of the IPS, we can drive those defect levels down to 0.02. 80% of your most common defects are related to missing or extra components due to a poor pickup condition. So by taking advantage of the IPS and identifying the condition of that component during pickup, we can reject those parts off of the heads before we transport out over the XY table, allowing a higher level of quality for more accurate placement due to more stably picked up components. We also do one more unique thing. When we're measuring that part, we actually measure the height of it. So we will place at that particular component height during that process as well. So further driving higher quality on your yields. So very, very unique technology built into the placement heads, providing you high speed, on the fly corrective actions with no impact to your cycle times. The head replacement, to put it back, is very simple. It's the reverse process of what we just did. So we introduce the head to the mounts. There's two guides here that will line up to the head on the gantry. We'll slip this right down on there. Bring the head back up to the base. Drop the pin. It is now locked in position and the head is secure. From here we're going to lift the lock lever for the harness. The harness will now drop down in position and we'll simply re-engage those contacts that we initially removed. Both power connectors, the firewire connector, and then the communication connector. All very simply attached. The head exchange is now complete. As you can see, once that head process is complete, the icon is now removed and the system is asking the operator to process to the next step. In this case, the operator shuts the hood, pushes the play button, and the machine's directing the operator to now reintroduce the multi-feeder unit. From this aspect, the operator will introduce the MFU, to the machine, simply roll the unit up to the machine itself. The system will grab it automatically, pull it in, lock it, and clamp it. Now the machine is ready to go back to production. From this point, we will hit start, and the machine is returned back to production. If we were using verification, all of the setup verification is done automatically. If you're not utilizing verification, the operator at this point will be with indications of how the conditions are. In this case, they're just verifying that what we have on the machine are all correct for the job that's being run. Our software provides the users a verification tool integrated into it that can be utilized to eliminate this manual process. We also encourage those operators or the customers to take advantage of those types of tools so that they can minimize those operator impacts. Other quality driving tools that Fuji offers. The system does come available. We offer LCR, inductance, capacitance, resistance measuring system. This system gives you the ability to not only, once we've verified your setup, to verify the electrical characteristics of those chip components that you identify in your program file. That's another onboard tool that can be deployed, mounts inside the machine and doesn't occupy any feeder slots, and will pick up the first component of every identified component to do an electrical inspection, and as long as it passes, it'll reject that first component and then unlock that feeder for production. Should there be an issue, it will stop the machine from running, stop that feeder from being accessed until it is corrected. Another tool that we offer is coplanarity. A 3D coplanarity system provides you the ability to inspect not only BGAs, QFPs, but also connectors. So anything with a lead or an element information that you want to check some type of coplanarity feature of it can be utilized at a very high-speed operation process. This new camera system is a high-speed camera mechanism that can operate at 570 milliseconds in inspecting 2 components in that time frame. So very quick compared to legacy technologies. Again, we'd like to bring everybody the opportunity to come and do a more detailed live with these machines. AIMEX, SFAB, NXT, anything that of interest to the market, we would be very pleased to do a more in-depth one-on-one. We all hope you've enjoyed the show and today's presentation. We look forward to seeing you again later today. We do have another 1 p.m. and a 3 p.m. show coming up, as well as tomorrow. We look forward to everybody joining us again. We hope you've enjoyed today's show. Is there any questions? We'd be more than happy to take any questions from the audience before we wrap up today. There's no questions today, so if there's anything you think of later, please do reach out to us, contact our sales team, and we'd be happy to set up a more dedicated one-on-one discussion with you, or reach out to us individually and we can set up some conference calls to review what Fuji can do for you. Have a great day and enjoy the show, guys. We'll see you on the next one.